Well, we have all seen the horrible crash scenes caused by impaired drivers right here in our community, from teenagers walking to school to entire families. DUI crashes remain a big problem. So far this year, Metro Police have logged 35 fatal drunken driving deaths, about half of the number from last year. But behind the statistics are real people whose lives are changed forever by DUI crashes. Our senior political reporter, Steve Sebelius, spent time recently listening to the stories of the people whose job it is to get justice for victims of DUI.
This bus stop on Spring Mountain Road sits well back from the busy traffic, but it wasn't always this way. Back in 2012, this was just like any other bus stop across the valley. But that was before drunken driver Gary Lee Hosey plowed into this stop, killing 4 people, including a baby. For the prosecutors who handle these cases in Clark County, crime scenes like this can't be forgotten.
So, you lose a little piece of your soul every time something like that happens.
Eric Bauman leads the DUI team in the Clark County District Attorney's Office. He's prosecuted cases for 17 years, but in all that time, he still hasn't gotten used to the crime scenes.
You don't expect that level of violence. Sometimes it will give the appearance of a bomb went off directly under this person.
I sat down with Bauman and 5 of his colleagues in their downtown offices recently to discuss drunken driving in our community. All agreed cases are on the rise. All agreed penalties are too light. And all agreed none of us are safe. Here's Deputy DA John Taylor.
They were just walking home from school. They were driving home from work. Maybe their car broke down. They were walking home from the bus, doing something that they do every day. And they are true victims in every sense of the word because it can happen to literally anybody.
This was a foreseeable consequence.
Taylor prosecuted the recent case of McKenzie Scott, the 18-year-old Arborview High School senior who was killed by a drunken driver, Keenan Jackson, in the crosswalk outside her school in May. Scott was walking to campus to get her cap and gown for graduation when she was struck and killed. Jackson pled guilty and was sentenced to the maximum, 8 to 20 years in state prison.
I imagine you're not going to forget about that case anytime soon.
No, and like Corey said, it's hard to rank cases in terms of severity or impact, but that one I don't think I'll ever forget. He just totally erased McKenzie Scott from this earth, and he devastated not only a family, a school, but a community.
And that sentence, just 8 years at a minimum, with probation available to make it even less, rankles these prosecutors. Their frustration is evident when they say they wish state lawmakers would impose harsher sentences, even up to second-degree murder in the most egregious cases, says veteran prosecutor Chad Lexus.
When you have to look at these people in the face, say, that start with reckless driving, and you explain to them, even though your loved one's dead, or you're screwed up for the rest of your life, there's a chance where this person might walk out of the courtroom, depending on what judge you get. That's unacceptable.
In 2020, District Attorney Steve Wolfson went to the Nevada Supreme Court in an attempt to file second-degree murder charges against Ronald Lavelle, who was accused of drunken driving and speeding in a 2017 fatal collision with another driver. But justices said applying that sentence is something the Nevada legislature would have to authorize, not the courts. Not only that, prosecutor Corey Halquist says getting an appropriate sentence means DAs can't make any mistakes.
And so if everything goes right, and we go to preliminary hearing, and we get past preliminary hearing, and we go to district court, and we win all our pretrial motions, and we go to jury trial, and we get a conviction, at the very end, the maximum we can get is an 8 to 20. And with some of the judges that we have, that's a question mark.
When I ask them what can be done, these prosecutors suggest harsher sentences, more private sector involvement to raise awareness of the risks and consequences of DUI. But the bottom line also involves people taking more responsibility for their own actions. Maricela Leon thinks the answer is straightforward.
If you could tell them one thing, like a public service announcement about DUI, about these kind of situations, what would you say?
Make better decisions, plan ahead. Like we've discussed, these crimes are preventable because at the end of the day, a lot is at risk. It's not just the individual driver, but it's other drivers on the road, it's pedestrians. These are all sad cases. Because at the end of the day, nobody wins.
And while some of the veterans of the office struggle with memories of tough cases and gruesome crime scenes, there are still young lawyers who volunteer for this duty. Sammy Lamb, the unit's newest prosecutor, says her motivation is empathy with the victims.
And any one of us in this room can be a victim of vehicular crime. And in general, those families deserve some of the best support and some of the best prosecution in this office. And I feel like I have a lot to offer to families of and victims of vehicular crime in order to help them get the justice that they deserve.
For victims of DUI and the people who advocate for them in court, there's good news coming out of the recent special legislative session in Carson City. Assembly Bill 4, the sweeping crime bill, contains enhanced penalties for DUI, although not yet the ability to charge second-degree murder in the most egregious cases. Reporting in Las Vegas, I'm Steve Sebelius.
If you have questions about the crime bill, the legislature, or anything else on the political beat, you can email me, and I'll do my best to get you an answer. My address is right there on your screen. It's steve.sebelius@ktnv.com.